When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Here to perform the Oscar-nominated, gorgeously empowering song, Let It Go, from the Oscar-winning animated movie Frozen, please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
Hello, 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 and welcome to
Hola.
this special edition vlogcast.
See?
We're going to be doing a couple of these special editions throughout the month as we track the Oscar nominations, our predictions, and the eventual breakdown of the winners. But, of course, as you may or may not have known, we have had release and nomination news come out on Tuesday of this week.
Pretty big news, yes.
Very big news. But, of course, as always, with your regular vlogcast, there is some viewing to catch up on that I believe you have. Since we're going to be out of a vlogcast for a week, I figure might as well go ahead and catch us up.
That's right, because we've got a real special top 15 coming next week as a follow-up to this. But since our other vlogcast, which will be... You're doing that one first and then this one?
That one's going to be Friday.
Okay. So you'll catch most of our catch-up. We got a lot of viewing over the last 2 weeks. But in the last couple days, we've had just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I watched that really weird documentary that you recommended, that Room 237. That was a weird documentary. I don't know about that.
You can see where some of the theories were thrown about.
Our Inside Movies Galore, if you have not tuned in yet, we had a very energetic discussion about The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick film. And Room 237 is it almost felt like a college movie. I mean, really,
it was a bunch of artsy people.
It was a bunch of. It was a lot of crazy theories about the film. It was interesting. Other than that, I think my viewing has been a couple Hunter x Hunter episodes, and really the only notable thing I'm going to add is I started reading something today that was quite interesting. Our library got the first volume of the manga for the series The Promised Neverland. And I had been seeing that title for a while. I think the anime aired last fall, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And it was I was like, that's a neat title, but I knew nothing about it. I read the first volume. That is a weird, twisted book. I'm going to enjoy that one.
Well, I haven't had much. You said last time that you had forgotten a couple. Do you remember which ones they were?
Oh, yes. Well, no, I just I forgot to mention that... I think I forgot to mention that I'd done the Japanese dub of Batman Ninja.
Well, you'll at least know that by the next time. And I don't think you mentioned it, so there you go. So
there we go.
Did you like the Japanese dub?
It was quite fun. Rie Kugamiya plays Harley Quinn. I want to say it was what's his face? Koichi Yamadera is Batman. So, to translate that slightly, Kugamiya is basically any tsundere in any anime ever. She played Shana, she played Taiga Aisaka, she's played a bunch of stuff. Koichi Yamadera played Spike Spiegel and Ryoka Hibiki and a whole bunch of really good characters. So that's two big name people there. And there were some other notable people in the cast. I know Grodd was a big one, but I cannot remember. I want to say it was Norio Wakamoto, but I could be wrong about that. But it was really cool watching it in the dub. It was less distracting than the English dub was. I still think the movie looks more like a video game cutscene than a proper movie, but yeah.
Sub versus dub is a debate for later times. But that could be a video one of these days. We could do the sub versus dub, because
Right.
I'm more of a dub person, and you're more of a sub person.
Although I have heard excellent dubs. And there are some series that improve for it, like Ghost Stories.
And I've heard terrible dubs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
ever watch Ghost Stories with that?
Yeah. No, without? Soon.
Soon. All right. Well, let's get on with it as we move onward.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to start with the Golden Raspberry Awards. I'm going to make sure that I move this just so I can know that we're still recording this, because when I block the screen, sometimes it just stops and I don't realize it.
Which
has.
actually, as Dane mentioned, and I believe he's correct on this, I think the Razzies have been around, if not the year of The Shining, then within a year or two. I think they started in 1980. And they are the anti-Oscars. They are we're going to trash on the movies that sucked. Or that we just feel like messing with.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is when you have people who actually show up for a Raspberry and then show up the same day for an Oscar. And it has happened.
So, like, gosh, what was her name? She had gotten,
Well, I know Halle Berry got nominated
Yeah.
the same year, and Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock was great because she won both
Yeah.
Best and Worst Actress
Yes.
that year, and she wanted to show up. She's like, I am
Yes.
going to show up to give my speech,
Yes.
and accept my award in person.
Yeah. Like, didn't Halle Berry win both as well?
I don't think she won both.
Because I think the year she won Monsters Ball, I could swear I know she was nominated. I think Catwoman, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then,
No.
of course, Sandra Bullock was won, quote unquote, the Raspberry for what's that one called? The one is Steve something. Is it All About Steve?
Yeah.
All About Steve. And then
Oh,
she
I
won
loved
for
All
the-
About Steve. I thought it was hilarious. But any case,
This year,
how we're going to be going about this is we're going to take this one by one, which is why I'm talking very fast. And we're going to talk about whether either of us have seen it, what we've heard about the films as they come to us new, and then how it applies to the awards. We'll also, of course, talk about if we have seen these, or even if we own them and haven't seen them, which happens with big DVD hoarders
Right.
like ourselves.
Right.
So, I know you've got at least one film in your collection that you own but haven't seen yet.
oh, a couple.
Okay, yeah. So,
Actually, I don't know if I have any from this year, but we'll find out.
so I'm going to start and save Worst Picture for last.
Okay.
So we will start at the bottom, and we'll take these, back and forth one by one. So we'll go with
Yeah.
Worst Screen Combo.
Which is always a really fun one. They have fun with this category.
So I will let you lead off since
Okay.
I said the title card.
Okay, worst screen combo. Any two actors or puppets, especially in those creepy sex scenes. Happy Time Murders.
So have you seen Happy Time Murders?
I have not yet.
I
I'd like
have not
to.
yet either. I do own a copy of
Right.
Happy Time Murders, but we'll see how it goes. I am still intrigued by the
Uh-huh.
concept. I was when it came out. Puppets and humans working together in a raunchy detective comedy dark thing
Right.
that fell flat apparently. So we'll see how that goes. So next up, Johnny Depp and his fast-fading film career in Sherlock Gnomes. Will Ferrell... Oh, wait, no, that's different. Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I have watched the original, and I've almost
Romeo
gotten...
and Juliet?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I have almost gotten Sherlock Gnomes because I want to collect everything with Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah.
And eventually it will come. I just haven't gotten it cheap enough. Even Black Friday wasn't cheap enough. They had it for like $7, like a little bit lower than that.
I got a lot lower than that, yeah.
Oh, you got it? You
Yeah,
own it?
yeah.
Oh, how was it?
Oh, it was very good.
Sherlock Gnomes?
No, I thought you were talking about wait.
What?
We were looking at Johnny Depp. I don't know why I was thinking Black Mass. That's
Yes,
a
you own it,
completely
and
different... That's a
totally.
totally different movie.
I was trying to think, it's like, oh my gosh, you not only own it, but you said you really liked it. So
No, never mind. I have to see one of these days. Speaking of Sherlock Holmes getting apparently trashed this year, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly trashing two of literature's most beloved characters, Holmes and Watson.
So did you get out to see this?
No,
one?
I didn't. I wanted to see this because of certain elements of it. And then I started seeing the trailers and going, oh my god, I don't know about this.
And how much you loved Step Brothers.
Oh, jeez. I loved Talladega Nights, don't get me wrong. I loved it, but I did not care for Step Brothers. And supposedly they have continued the downward trajectory that they were on. Riley is a brilliant actor. Farrell is a great actor, but put them together and it's hit or miss. And I really wanted to see it for Ray Fine as Moriarty and for Hugh Laurie as Mycroft Holmes. Why was I wanting to say Aberforth? That's not right. But unfortunately, they could not rescue the movie. From what I hear, it got horrible reviews. So,
well,
speaking of horrible reviews.
Actually, though, I am curious about it, but I don't like Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
But he's grown on me a little bit.
Right.
Because I like Elf.
Right.
And I've liked a few other things that he's in, but I can't remember them well enough to say which ones they are.
Right.
But I'm not surprised.
He played a good W.
Yes, he did.
And he played a great Alex Trebek.
All right, fine. Next up is Kelly Preston and John Travolta getting Battlefield Earth-type reviews in Gotti.
Lightning struck twice for Travolta.
Poor John Travolta. I actually do, I can't dislike John Travolta. He's, he seems like such a nice guy, other than the Scientology angle, which, but...
I don't get that vibe at all from...
Well, I mean, he supports the church still, so, but church being a loose term. Gotti was one I had an interest in because I thought it had potential because it's a character that's worth, talking about.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't do it in a good film.
Yeah. Now, the next one is one that I have mixed feelings about because I love the wording here. It's so appropriate and so true. But do we really want to reward it at all? Donald J. Trump and his self-perpetuating pettiness, Death of a Nation, and Fahrenheit 11/9.
Oh, God.
I actually did pick up a copy of Fahrenheit 11/9 from the library. I'll see it sometime this week. We'll see. But...
Well, this is one of those weird things because if you're somebody who doesn't have any political leanings, I could see you being able to go down and watch all of these. But for those who have political leanings, I'm sorry, no conservative is going to watch Fahrenheit 11/9. Shoot, no conservative is going to watch the Razzies after these nominations.
This isn't the first time they've leaned the other way.
So,
but,
I can guarantee you most left-leaning people are not going to be watching Death of a Nation. It's a movie that likens President Trump to Abraham Lincoln. And his level of greatness. So, I really don't see the point in it. I understand they like to get a good jab in here, but there's no way in heck I will ever watch Death of a Nation. And I don't blame most people who are conservative if they don't want to watch 11/9. So
I guess give them props for putting them both in there.
Yeah, the worst of both worlds.
Exactly.
All right.
So the next category that's pretty unique to this particular awards is worst remake, ripoff, or sequel.
All right. Well, we are starting at the top with we're rounding it back again with Death of a Nation. Because it's a remake of Hillary's America, which was a Hillary hit piece that they tried to throw into theaters in 2008, and then got blocked, and then decided to put it in later.
Yeah.
So interesting how that worked out. And then I don't really have anything more to say about it, so move on.
That's all I have to say about that. And then we need that as a resource. Anyway, and speaking of death films, we have a remake of Death Wish. Wasn't that a Charles Bronson movie originally? Or
Yes, it was. I
And
have
then this
all
is-
5 of those.
this is a Bruce Willis movie that apparently had a fairly tortured release attempt, and it
Yeah.
came out it didn't really get very good reviews.
Well, the way it came out is it looked like it's a white guy killing a bunch of black people, which is a bad image to go out in this day and age. The original concept of Death Wish is criminal. Actually, it sounds very familiar if you're a comic book fan.
Yeah.
Criminals kill Charles Bronson's family, so he goes on a rampage against crime.
So it was knockoff Punisher, basically.
Yes, essentially that's the whole. Actually, when did
Actually,
the Punisher come out? So it
Punisher might be a knockoff of the old Bronson movies. But this was a knockoff of a knockoff of...
And this one I own it because I'm a completionist and it was cheap on Black Friday. But whether I'm not sure whether I'm interested in watching it or not. I love the Bronson films.
Right.
I mean, they're good cheesy action, and the first one is a classic.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I probably will watch that out of curiosity.
Right.
Oh, so the next one, I guess it's me.
Yep.
Which is Holmes and Watson. I don't think we need to.
You'll be hearing that one a lot.
Yeah, there were so many other Sherlock Holmes movies that were much better than this,
Yes.
from what I've heard.
So this one, I beg to differ. The next nominee is The Meg, which they call a ripoff of Jaws.
Super Jaws.
It is, in very many ways, it is Jaws on steroids, with a very healthy dose of Jurassic Park thrown in, and a little bit of, it does have trouble standing on its own 2 feet. But I actually really liked The Meg. I thought it was not a great film, but it was a very enjoyable film, and definitely I am willing to wager it's probably head and shoulders above the rest of the films in this category. Probably even more than that. And then...
Yeah, and then we have we have Robin Hood. A friend of ours was really saying, anybody interested in Robin Hood? I really want to see it. And,
I wanted to see it, but I didn't want to see it badly enough.
Yeah, well, I guess we were better off for not. I am curious.
This is Jamie Foxx and Taron Egerton, and from the look of it, it looked like they tried to update a lot of it, but didn't Ben Mendelsohn play Nottingham in this one? I could see him being a really good Nottingham. I could see,
Jamie Foxx was in it. And that's pretty cool.
Fox is Egerton, Fox, and Mendelsohn are all great actors. They were all well cast in the film. The question is, did the film just go way too far off of what Robin Hood is supposed to be? And apparently these people felt that yes, it did.
Oh, well, what can you do?
Yep.
So next up is Worst Screenplay.
Yeah.
I gotta get that bad writing in there.
And once again, we will see Death of a Nation.
Oh, God.
Where were we?
So, the next one up is a newbie. 50 Shades Freed.
One of your favorites, isn't it?
Oh, gosh. Well, I have not seen them past the first movie. After watching the first movie with my wife, she wanted to go see the second one in theaters as well. She claims she hates them, but considering she's read the book like 5 times, book series 5 times, and
Really?
has wanted to watch.
Really, that many times?
Yeah, she has a love-hate relationship with that particular, I guess.
Right.
But at the same time, I actually I like the music in 50 Shades of Grey, so I can imagine 50 Shades Freed was about on par with that.
I will concede that the soundtrack was great. Not great enough to justify the Oscar nomination that came from it, but, it was good. Anyway, so next up we once again have Gotti.
We're going to see a lot of these over and over again. And of course, why don't we continue with that pattern with Happy Time Murders?
And then we had something rather unusual. I don't believe I had heard of this movie. Given the nominations, it sounds like it had a decent pedigree to it.
I've heard of it.
But Winchester is up for worst screenplay as well.
You talk about ones that I was hoping that you were hoping to see. I really wanted to see this.
Yeah?
I am fascinated with the Winchester Mansion and the haunting of it.
Oh.
And because it's so cool. I mean, that's why I love Rose Red so much.
Right.
So, and I probably will still see it regardless when it's cheap. But it was sad that this bombed so much. I did want to see this a lot. And again, my interest in the lore is definitely enough to bring me back. If any of you have seen Winchester, let me know. Is it as bad as they say? Is it so bad that even somebody loving this material would hate it?
All right, so our next category is going to be Worst Supporting Actress.
All right. It'd be me. Oh. Kellyanne Conway as herself in Fahrenheit 9/11.
11/9.
Oh, 11/9. Yes. Well,
Yeah. Same director. Marcia Gay Harden in 50 Shades Freed. Why she was in that film, I have no idea.
Kelly Preston in Gotti.
Yeah. Jazz Sinclair in, you're bringing back to the horror theme for a moment, Slender Man.
Another one I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But,
again, I did not hear good things.
There's a film that they did, Marble Hornets put out called Always Watching. That was a Slender Man film before that, and it was boring. So, I can only imagine that this was either boring or silly. And the trailers made it look silly. But I am still curious. When it's free, I'll watch it.
Good times.
Oh, and then finally, Melania Trump as herself in Fahrenheit 11/9.
Yeah. Yeah, she really is a bad actress. Not as bad as Conway, but worst supporting actor. Well, sorry, I read your line there.
Hey, that's fine. I'll get the next one.
Okay.
So that would be you. Keep going.
Okay, so worst supporting actor. Well, we were just talking about him, Jamie Foxx for Robin Hood.
It's interesting because this man has gotten such good accolades, and
You're right.
Has he ever been nominated for a Razzie?
I believe so. I'm not sure. But a lot of times they will go out of their way to single out people who are better than this. And actually, didn't they have a category along those lines? They got rid of it, maybe?
They should keep that.
Well, they also had a category of someone who had gone from bad to good. I wonder why they got rid of that.
Most improved.
Yeah, wasn't it like most improved?
Is it wrong of me whenever I hear Robin Hood, I keep thinking Men in Tights? When I see Jamie Foxx, I'm thinking about the other one, Achu. That character.
Well, you could have Jamie Foxx and this next nominee do a duet on the music from that film.
Yeah. Speaking of Ludacris, actually, he was with Jamie Foxx in Rio, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Was it Ludacris? Or was it... No, it was Will.i.am. Never mind.
It was Will.i.am.
It was Will.i.am.
No, Ludacris, Chris Bridges, has been in a lot of films, and he was quite good in Hustle and Flow and a couple others.
Yeah, so, Show Dogs.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I keep thinking of Best in Show when I hear Show Dogs.
And this is a voice role, by the way. My guess is it's one of those stupid movies that come out 3 times a year where dogs talk with celebrity voices. You know, sort of like the Air Bud and that kind of stuff. You know, the
Santa Buddies.
Yeah, the Buddies series. That's what I was trying to think of. I don't think this is part of that series, but from what I hear, this was a pretty awful movie. So, Joel McHale, Happy Time Murders.
Ay. Okay, John C. Reilly, Holmes and Watson.
Yeah. And then Justice Smith, who I believe is the one who will be starring in Detective Pikachu. But before that, he was in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which we're back to a movie I have seen.
Woo!
And Fallen Kingdom was weak.
I've heard it was
weak.
I've heard it kind of squandered the goodwill that was built
yeah.
up by the previous one that came
Jurassic World was good. I mean, it had its leaps of logic and a wooden performance by Bryce Dallas Howard, but it had a wonderful performance by Irfan Khan. Chris Pratt was well cast. It was wonderful effects. It was a decent story. It was well done. Fallen Kingdom took all that and kind of threw it out the window. And I have said before, Jurassic Park is really, technically, it is a horror film. It really is a horror story. But Spielberg decided to make it a popcorn flick and gave us a totally different expectation. The book is a horror book. But Fallen Kingdom is the first one that really, really felt to me like a horror movie. But not for a good reason. The reason why I said this is because throughout the film, the characters make the worst possible choices. They have 3 doors, A, B, C. A is a great choice. B is C is, this is so stupid. They go for C. I honestly can't even remember which part Justice Smith played in the movie.
Let's hide behind the wall of chainsaws.
Exactly. The hall of... let's hide behind the wall of hybrid velociraptors.
I actually own the movie.
Right.
But I have not seen the movie. Again, a lot of these Razzie nominees went really cheap on Black Friday.
Right.
Oh,
and let me also mention, The Meg is a much better film than Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Alright, worst actor. Johnny Depp in Sherlock Gnomes.
Yep, another voice role, incidentally, but you probably guessed that.
No, he played a real gnome.
Yes. That's some serious makeup there. Okay, Will Ferrell for Holmes and Watson.
John Travolta, Gotti.
Donald J. Trump as himself in Death of a Nation and Fahrenheit 11/9.
Enough said.
Yes.
Bruce Willis in Death Wish.
Did anyone guess that any of those 5 were coming up?
Yeah, really.
Now, here we're going to launch into some new films for the list. Worst Actress.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Jennifer Garner, Peppermint. Basically, the female Taken. That's pretty much...
I've never even heard of it.
I kind of wanted to see this, but... But really, honestly, if you watch the trailer, you'll be like, this is the female Taken. No 2 ways about it.
Amber Heard, London Fields. Again, I haven't heard of that one either.
Never heard of that one. Never heard of it.
All right, comment section. Get on it. Let us
Melissa McCarthy, The Happy Time Murders and Life of the Party.
God, I heard that was a back-to-school ripoff.
Melissa McCarthy has the possibility, if I remember correctly, of a double win.
Yeah, she is up for one.
Yeah, here and at the Oscars. We will see.
All right. And Helen Mirren, Winchester.
Who has won an Oscar, and here she is up for a Razzie. And Amanda Seyfried, The Clapper.
That sounds inappropriate.
Yeah, never heard of that film either.
Okay, I had not heard of it either.
Yeah.
Like I said, comment section. Get on that.
Yeah.
Let us know. Worst director.
Yeah.
Ethan Cohen. Well, you wouldn't be glad if it was Ethan Cohen.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny. They just take the H and put it in the wrong place.
Let's see here. Holmes and Watson.
Yes. Kevin Connolly for Gotti, which actually, if you remember correctly, I'm almost certain he is the one who played, that he was in Boondock Saints, and I think this is one of his first, if not his first film as a director. I would need to double check on that.
Maybe his last.
It may be his last. It's unfortunate.
James Foley for 50 Shades Freed.
Maybe his last.
No, I gotta hold it to him.
Wait,
he had to go through
Brian
that crap.
Henson. Isn't Brian Henson Jim Henson's son?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, he was involved.
No, this is director.
Yes.
Happy Time Murders.
Yes.
Holy crap.
I probably didn't know that, but
No,
yeah, it was one of the reasons why it was such a surprising thing that they didn't even know how to use the puppets correctly. Which you'd think that Brian Henson, of all people.
Yeah, wow.
Well. Finally, the Sprigg brothers. Sprigg brothers, whatever. For Michael, for Winchester.
Yes, Michael and Peter Spierig. I'm not familiar with them. I'm not familiar with the film.
I like Sprigg better.
Hey, all right. And who was it?
The big one, yeah.
The big one. And the Razzies, unlike the Oscars, only feel that 5 films deserve this honor. They probably wouldn't mind going to 10, but anyway. Worst Picture. Gotti.
Happy Time Murders.
Holmes and Watson.
Robin Hood.
And Winchester.
Oh my.
I'm a little surprised that Robin Hood got in there with as few nods as it got.
Well, that is amazing right there. It is, but
yeah,
I guess we've got the worst out of the way,
Yeah.
so now we got to move to the best.
Woohoo! And here we'll have good stuff, mostly.
So I'm going to again go back down to the bottom. We're going to play this game a little bit similarly to how we did the last one when it comes to the Oscar nominees.
Right.
Going over each one, seeing if we've seen it, or if we have actually owned, or if we own a copy, or both.
If we've owned it.
We owned it, yeah. And then, of course, I also have some information as to where to see some of these. Not all of these, but some of these.
Right. And I will have to make a confession, first of all, starting off. I was debating this for several days, and when the nominees came out, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I finally gave in. You win, Netflix, you bastards.
Oh, they got you like however many bucks. Oh, actually, no, they got your free trial.
Yeah, I got a free trial, so I'm going to be doing Netflix to at least watch 2 of these films. But
all right, so we're going to start off with original screenplay.
Yes.
Actually, did I go last or did you go last?
I introduced the last category.
So I guess I'll go ahead and I'll start off with the favorite. Have you seen this one yet? I have not.
Oh, you got to make sure to say who wrote them.
Written by Deborah Davis and ...
And ...
Come on, you should know this information like right off the hat.
Okay.
It's any case, we'll talk about this while I let this load up. The favorite is on my list, and it's one of those that's still in theaters.
Yep.
And unless you see it in theaters, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't see it, well, you can watch it after the Oscars.
And if you see it in theaters, okay, Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara, you may still be kind of screwed because this is a Yorgos Lanthimos film, so it's an acquired taste. I haven't seen it, but I have seen 2 of his films.
It looks like it's about Queen Anne.
Yes.
All right.
It is indeed.
All right. Well,
and then we have First Reformed, written by Paul Schrader. This was one of the bigger surprises of the nominees, It was one that a lot of people were pulling for. This was a little film that came out and almost sank without a trace. I actually did want to watch it because Ethan Hawke got the best buzz of probably his career.
Wow.
And I am next in line. I will get a copy from the library next week. It is available on home video, and you can check it out at your local library if you're willing to wait, or probably Redbox. But Paul Schrader, I believe, is the guy who wrote Taxi Driver and Last Temptation of Christ and some other Scorsese films. This is his first ever nomination, if I remember correctly. So a lot of people are thrilled about this one, but yeah.
Also, if you are an Amazon Prime customer, you can watch this for free.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Next up, Green Book.
Written by a
was
bunch of people.
big thing.
Yeah.
It was... okay, now I can't see the rest of the nominees. Written by Nick... go ahead and say the names. I can't read.
Nick Vallelonga, Brian Curry, and Peter Farrelly.
All right. So while I go back to this, I hope it hits me back
there
here.
You go. Yep.
Okay, so, any case, Green Book was a big winner at the Globes. And it is a strong contender, but it does have a whisper campaign against it. Mm-hmm. And that could be a problem. Now, Green Book is not available at the moment. But it will be available to stream on February 19th.
And it probably is still in theaters, at least if you're in certain parts of the country. Probably not everywhere.
Another one about streaming.
So this is one of the ones that Netflix, they had me by the balls. And it just, but they actually did release Roma in about 500 theaters briefly before they put it on their streaming service.
And it will never get a DVD release.
This was a labor of love for writer Alfonso Cuarón, and he is nominated in a couple categories for this film, including this one, original screenplay.
Well, I know this is one of two you got the Netflix for.
Yes, and I really want to see this. And people who have seen it have been declaring it a masterpiece and a brilliant film, and Cuarón himself said, well, I don't blame Netflix because no one watches foreign films. I'm like, you're Alfonso Cuarón. With the buzz this film's getting, you could have opened in 1,200 theaters. But whatever.
Need a drink of water there.
I probably will.
Well, next up is Adam McKay for Vice. Another film I wanted to see. But I was overridden for Aquaman. Now I don't have the money to see anything in theaters, so I won't be seeing Vice.
I can't believe she'd rather see Jason Momoa than Christian Bale in a fat suit.
I know.
Okay. So, next up, writing adapted screenplay. And here we have the other reason I have to get Netflix.
Yes, Joe Cohen and Ethan Cohen, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yes.
Which has multiple nominations, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, Netflix.
This was one of the biggest surprises for me because believe me, I'm a huge fan of the Coens. I was considering Netflix partly to watch this just on principle.
Oh, Coen Brothers film you won't be able to get on physical release.
It pissed me off, the bastards. But anyway, not them, the Netflix. But the thing is, nobody was talking about this. It was on a lot of critics' year-end best of lists, but it was absent from the awards stuff. And it got 3 nominations, I think?
Yeah.
And including this one for the Coen brothers. There's another one I'm really excited because of who got nominated. But, yeah. But the next one I did get to see. And you did get to see.
Yeah, it's the first one on the list that I've seen.
Yeah. This is the film Black Klansman, written by Charlie Watchell and David Rabinowitz and Kevin Wilmot. And Spike Lee. I like how they have the ampersand, then the and, then the... It makes no sense. But anyway, so...
It was an excellent film, and this is why I didn't want to keep doing this.
Okay.
So now we've got to hold on while we have some
Okay.
minor... All right.
Okay, and now again, I hope my statistics are correct here, but you notice we just mentioned Spike Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe he has ever gotten an Oscar nod himself.
I don't know. Yeah, but
I know he's never gotten a directing nod before this year, so maybe he got some writing nod.
Well, Klansman's getting a lot of love this year, and I think it's about time that something like this. To me, that was just one of my few predictions that came true. That Black Klansman would be there, especially to offset Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because Black Klansman is a very, very well written, very well acted piece.
It is.
So
it was very enjoyable.
I'm actually kind of rooting for this one, even though, well, unfortunately, I haven't seen the rest, so I can't really say.
Yeah.
And now, for the next one, I will do it this way.
Okay.
And so the next one is Nicole Holofcener, and Jeff Whitty.
Yeah.
For Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Okay.
I don't know much about this. Have you seen this one?
I have not. And this was another one that I had never, ever heard of the film before the Golden Globe nominees were announced. And it was up for a couple of Globes. But, this is one of those latecomers that every year there's a couple latecomers that, and we sure saw some of those with these nominees. So the next one up is a film written by Barry Jenkins called If Beale Street Could Talk.
Another one I am kicking myself for not seeing.
Yeah, I want to see this. I really do. I thought Moonlight was overrated, but it was still a pretty darn good film. And this is a adaptation of a very famous novel. And... it would be really cool to see this one get some love come Oscar night. But I didn't get a chance to see it yet. Yeah.
Well, last in this category is Eric Roth and Bradley Cooper and Will Fetters. Okay, yeah, it looked like an L from this distance. For A Star Is Born. Another one I really wanted to see.
Yep.
You know what? I have not been keeping up with my promise. I actually have a lot of these written down, so I'm going to go back over these in just a minute.
Okay.
A Star Is Born, by the way, I do have on order. Because I've got the other two. I need to keep going with it. Actually, the other three.
Yeah.
And each one, except for the Judy Garland one, has won Oscars, and all of them have been nominated. So this is a pretty good pedigree story, which keeps being repeated. I remember back when Clint Eastwood was going to do this.
He was considering it, yes.
So let me see here. Of course, Vice in theaters, can't see it. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Netflix. Black Klansman is actually out and available in most places if you're willing to pay the money for it.
Or get it. Well, it's a long list probably if you get it from the library, but or Redbox probably.
Yep. Can You Ever Forgive Me is unavailable in theaters, and out of luck, If Beale Street Could Talk, same thing. And A Star Is Born.
Now, how are you defining unavailable in theaters?
No, it's in theaters still and unavailable.
Okay.
I just put unavailable because I can't get it unless you go to the theaters. So that's why I'm trying to put in theaters and available. Yeah.
Okay.
A Star Is Born, well, it is coming out, so fairly soon.
I have a hold on that from the library, but I won't see it anytime soon.
You will be hearing the date February 19th a lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot in this list. And next category is visual effects. So let me get this set up here. I will say visual effects is always one of those that impresses me a bit. So you go first for this right now.
Okay.
So I've got this, so you've got the information in front of you.
Okay. So, first up, Avengers Infinity War nominees Dan DeLille, I hope I said that right, Kelly Port, Russell Earl, and Dan Sudik. And I have to say, shame on you, Oscar, for only giving Infinity War one nomination.
There are a lot of people who think that it should have that Black Panther took up a lot of those.
Well, yes, and I have more to say on that theory later. But Infinity War is a monumental feat of filmmaking, and I don't care if you think it's just a comic book movie. It deserves more than one nomination. That said, it had pretty flippin' awesome visual effects.
Oh, it did.
So this may be the one to beat in this category, I think.
All right, next
man.
up. And also, I do own a copy of Infinity War. I believe you own a copy of Infinity War.
And I've watched
We
it.
both watched it in theaters, and it is readily available in most places if you wish to buy it.
I'll be going to the Bird
for
tomorrow.
streaming and for viewing. Pleasure on physical media. Next up, also, by the way, available on physical media, Christopher Lawrence, Michael Eames, Theo Jones, and Chris Corbold for Christopher Robin. I need to see this. I know you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
Oh, I thought you had.
I canceled my hold in the library to make room for other stuff.
Well,
and
I
then-
own it, so I can go. I can see it. I can't guarantee you'll see it from mine, but I will.
Well, we could have a movie night.
It is definitely something that looks interesting. I want to do a back-to-back. That one and is it
Goodbye,
Goodbye,
Christopher Robin. I did see that one.
That's why I confused it. So
That'd be a good twofer, probably.
Yeah, so it sounds like you see. Every time something like this happens, I'm reminded back when they had the Illusionist and God, what was the other one?
The Prestige.
Prestige.
Yeah.
But this happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny is that happened, and then a couple years later, they had the Incredible Burt Wonderstone and Now You See Me.
And speaking of one that's coming out
Speaking
on
of visual
physical
effects,
media soon.
Yes, we have Paul Lambert, Ian Hunter, Tristan Miles, and J.D. Schwalm for First Man, and I just found out that I will be going to see it tomorrow. Because they paired it at the Bird with Widows. Widows got snubbed, and a lot of people are upset about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about some snubs
we'll talk about
later, too.
snubs later, but those two together, that's worth going to the Bird. Yeah.
No money to even go to the Bird.
I don't either, but I make money.
All right.
Oh.
Next up, Roger Goyette. Grady Coffer, Matthew E. Butler, and David Shirk for Ready Player One.
I did see that one.
You got to see it in theaters.
Nope.
I own a copy.
I wanted to see it
I
in
thought
theaters.
you did get to see it.
Nope.
Was it a library loan? Or?
Yep.
You own it too, don't
Nope.
you? Don't. I own it. So.
Yes.
And speaking of, for Ready Player One, not only do I own it, that means that you too can own it.
Yes, you too can, because this one's been out for a minute. So there's
You
been
really liked it too, didn't you?
Yes, it was a weak translation of the book, but it was still
But
decent.
how about the special effects?
Very, very impressive.
So
They were.
sound mixing,
And so was this one,
But,
which another one I have seen. Rob Rito, Patrick Tubak, Neil Scanlon, and Dominique Toy for Solo, a Star Wars story. I think this is the solo nod for this one. Actually, I think everyone in this category except for First Man, right?
Oh well,
Yeah, every one of them, just this one.
I have it on Steelbook.
I did enjoy the film. It got too much of a bad rep for, I think, people get too serious when it comes to Star Wars. But I have to say this, with that, I've seen 3 of the films. Why didn't you make room for Ant-Man and the Wasp? Why? Even Aquaman could have been a good contender.
All right, I'm getting these clicks so that we can
Yeah.
get the names of the people.
Yeah.
But some of these you're going to start seeing some repetition.
Yes.
But we have 2 new ones for sound mixing.
Uh-huh.
The first, in its first appearance, with Stephen, I can't get the name because I can't read the print.
Bodeker,
Brandon Proctor, and Peter Devlin for Black Panther.
Yeah.
I don't know much about sound mixing. I imagine the sound was good in this.
Okay, I don't pretend to be an expert, but this is my understanding of it. Mixing involves, I believe, syncing and making sure that the voices sound right, that the music is appropriate levels, and all this kind of stuff. So generally, I tend to go heavy on musicals for this category, and editing is more like sound effects and all that kind of stuff. But also, generally, use of sound is a little bit more in the editing category.
What's this?
And you'll notice there's, when we go through these categories, you'll notice that there's only one film different in each category.
It seems like
and it's for exactly those reasons. And again, I may not be right about that. If you know better, let me know. But it seems to me the voters seem to be thinking on those lines too.
Well, this one I could definitely see for that definition.
So we have Paul Massey, Tim Cavaghan, and John Casale for Bohemian Rhapsody.
All right. Well, have you seen that one yet?
No, I want to.
Now, this one's interesting. Of course, Black Panther is readily
Have seen Black
available
Panther.
in most things. I own a copy of it, and you two can also own a copy.
And I own a copy of
it. This one here has not been released yet, but will be released. Drum roll, please. Oh, could you guess what date that Bohemian Rhapsody might be coming out?
Well, you said before February 19 was the key day.
Yes.
So, from the sound of it, I'm going to be hitting Redbox the week before the Oscars.
There's going to be a lot of catch-up, like, right before.
Right.
You ain't heard nothing yet.
Yeah.
But this is one that has surprised me because it came out and people were panning it. They were saying great acting but terrible writing. And now it's up for all these awards. Won Best Picture at the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
And
it won in the drama category, even though it should be probably a musical. Yeah.
Well, now I have to see it.
Yeah.
Historically inaccurate or not, Queen is my favorite band. Freddie Mercury is my favorite singer. I have to see.
And people say Rami Malek as Mercury was the highlight of the film.
So I will be seeing it. I have it pre-ordered. I've already paid it up. The last of my money has gone to these pre-orders. And they won't give me my money back.
Okay.
All right, so next up is John Taylor, Frank A. Montano, Ai-Ling Lee, and Mary H. Ellis. Ai-Ling Lee is probably one of the few Asians that have been nominated this year.
I was just thinking, actually, because they're...
First Man, by the way.
Yeah. And more on that later, too. But anyway, next up, Skip Livesey, probably the most famous person in this category, Craig Hennigan and Jose Antonio Garcia, nominated for Roma.
And another one that probably is very much for this, like you said, musicals.
Yeah.
Tom Ozanich, Dean Zupacek, Jason Rutter, and Stephen Morrow. You didn't know this was going to be the name butchering session that we were going to be doing.
Adele Dazeem.
You know, I played that clip right before we started this. But For A Star Is Born. You know, something like that, you would expect sound mixing to be an incredibly important thing. Especially because all accounts seem to be that the sound is pretty impressive. I'm going to be setting this up so we get the names, but is it my turn to announce the title? No, I think you did the mixing. Okay, go for it then. So for sound editing, we can go Benjamin A. Burt and Steve Bodeker for Black Panther. All right. Then we have got John Warhurst and Nina Hartstone for Bohemian Rhapsody. Mm-hmm. Here, once again, Ai-Ling Lee and Mildred Iatro Morgan for First Man. Here's the odd one out. Yeah. Ethan Van der Rijn and Eric Adal.
Adal.
For A Quiet Place.
And then
let's
go ahead and finish it off, and then I have a roundabout commentary.
And by the way, just to give you a heads up while we're talking about this, I do own a copy of The Quiet Place.
Okay.
I have yet to see it,
Yeah.
but it is readily available
Right.
for home video.
And then Sergio Diaz and Skip Livesey for Roma. Okay, so you'll notice the one difference, the one and only difference there is you've got 4 films the same. A Star is Born for sound mixing and A Quiet Place for sound editing. A Star is Born is a film that's all about the music, so mixing. A Quiet Place is, and this is where I'm going to be honest, I thought A Quiet Place could have gotten both of these categories, and I'm very surprised that it didn't, but it really, if there was any category that film had a lock on from the moment it was released, it was sound editing, and it should probably win that category. The film is a film about, if you make a noise, you die. It really is. The film is about silence, and you'd be surprised how much craft and importance goes into using that effectively in a film. You know, I'm speaking more as like the layman, but still, I understand that they really used sound effectively in that film. And yeah, that one should probably win, and I was thrilled to see it at least get that nod, especially because it's considered a, quote, genre film, and you'll notice we have a lot of those this year. But it's a horror film, and horror does not do well at the Oscars, so that was kind of cool.
So, short film live action. Now, I'm going to briefly talk on this one.
Okay.
Since we're into the short films, I really don't understand short films. They make them incredibly hard to track down.
Yeah.
So that only people who are in small circles can ever see them.
Depends a little bit.
Not all of them, but a majority of them seem to be that way.
I feel like usually if you try hard enough, you can track down the animated shorts.
Yeah.
But the other one, yeah, the live action is always hard.
Did you know they've taken a whole bunch of them off of YouTube, and they've been working actively to make them almost impossible to find. But I'm going to be on more on that later. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Woohoo!
I have heard rumors, and I have read them, and I have tried to confirm them, and I mostly have, that Prime will be doing a short film viewing on what day? Come on, you know what day.
February 19th.
Yes, there we go. So let's get started with the live-action short films, which are impossible to find unless you have seen them in those theaters that they ran in, and good luck with that. The first one up is Detainment by Vincent Lamb and Darren Mann. So do you know much about this one?
I know nothing about any of these.
Yes.
Nothing. Okay.
So next up.
Yeah. Fauve by Jeremy Comte and Maria Garcia Turgeon.
Next, Marguerite by Marianne Farley and Mary Helen Pianese?
Pense? I'm guessing.
Well.
I say again, you know French better than I do. Mother, or Madre, by Rodrigo Sorogoyen and Maria del Puy Alvarado.
This ain't the mother that we know. And finally, Skin by Guy Nativ and Jamie Ray Newman.
Okay.
So, well, that was good.
Yeah.
And now, short
film animated.
So, you get to start us off.
Yeah. So, Animal Behavior by Alison Snowden and David Fine.
I wonder if there's any relation to the other Snowden that we know.
Who knows?
All right, the next one, I'm getting these things so we can get it, is one that both of us have seen.
We have, yes.
Which is Bao by Dome Shi and Becky Neiman Cobb. That was the Pixar submission.
They played it before Incredibles 2, in case you
This
didn't
to
guess.
me, even though I haven't seen much of them, this one to me seems to be the big one. I mean, it had huge talk for a long time after it came out. And I'm wondering if this will take home the gold.
It's got a shot. It is a Pixar short, you know.
And it was really good.
Yeah, it was. Next we have Late Afternoon by Luis Bagnall and Nuria Gonzalez Blanco.
This is one that was on YouTube for the longest time, and then they went and they tracked them all down so that you could not see it.
That's a shame.
It is a sad thing. Almost got to see it. One Small Step by Andrew Chesworth and Bobby Pontilla. And it is an excellent short film. I did get to see it. It is right now on YouTube. But it might not be for long. You need to find it. You need to watch it. And if you don't, it will probably disappear because they don't want you to see these short films.
I guess I'll have to see it.
They only want the real people that they value to see the short films.
The real people. All right. And then the last one. Weekends by Trevor Jimenez.
But yeah, I mean, really and truly, One Small Step is a very nice film. It's like something you might have seen from Pixar.
Right.
It's got similar overtones to Bao in many ways. So, again, I thought it was a very good film, very short. It is a short film. It's like 7 minutes, so, you know.
And that's another, it's not an absolute because obviously there's no rule that says it has to go this way. But from what we've seen, the Oscars have a tendency, the animated shorts tend to be much shorter than either the documentary or live action. Typically, you can watch all 5 animated films in about the amount of time it would take to watch 2 of any of the other category. So, that's kind of weird the way that works, but whatever.
So production design.
Okay. Yes.
By the way, just to say one more thing about those short films, keep an eye on YouTube if you don't have Prime, because I'm sure that people will illegally try and put them up really quickly and take them down. So if you keep trying day after day, and there's a part of me that says, well, since you're going to have such a small part of the population be able to see it, you're not going to make much money on it anyway, so there's not much loss.
There's also a considerable possibility that some of them are Netflix films. I remember last year Heroin was a Netflix film, which is why I was able to see it right before. Okay. So, am I doing this one? I thought you were.
I forgot who did the last one. Oh, well, in case, I'll just go ahead. And this was for production design. So, Hannah Betchler and Jay Hart for Black Panther. And again, it did have some cool-looking sets. It did have some cool-looking production design. I thought the costume design was better, but
they basically built Wakanda from scratch for this movie, and so that was a big part of that.
That is a big thing, yeah.
And I will say one other thing about this. If I am mistaken, by all means correct me in the comments, but I am almost certain from what I've been hearing from the feedback of the nominees and whatever, I believe Hannah Beachler is the first, quote, person of color or you know, what have you, nominated in this category.
Well, actually, they've done a lot for people of color, at least African-American individuals in this particular point. And
but that was definitely, it is, from what I hear, a historic nomination.
Which is
so
good.
That's,
it's a good thing. I think we are making steps forward.
Right.
Again, we'll talk about that.
But not quite enough. We'll get to that in a bit. So, next up we have Fiona Crombie and Alice Felton for The Favorite, which from what I've seen, the sets of this look pretty impressive. So
anytime you get something that's the historical like that, the sets are key. Especially if you've got like the castles and the old estates and stuff like that.
Right.
It takes a lot of restoration work with many of these places.
And I briefly spoke dismissively of the director before, We were introduced to this director by the Oscar-nominated film Dogtooth. Oh, God, I hated that film. And then I went on to see The Lobster, which was a nominee for original screenplay, which I'll give it this, it was original. But one thing I will give both of those films is they had very impressive sets. I will say the production design was impressive. So maybe this one will be,
Maybe it'll be the one that, like, we go, oh, it's the best one. Nathan Crowley and Kathy Lucas for First Man.
All right.
Something new.
Oh, and this one's not terribly surprising that it got this category. John Muir, I hope I'm saying that right, and Gordon Sim for Mary Poppins Returns.
Not surprising, though.
I need to see this.
So do I. Unfortunately, unless you go to theaters,
yeah,
you're kind of screwed.
Yep.
All right. And finally, Eugenio Caballero, Barbara Enriquez. I couldn't see. I look like an eye from here. For Roma. Again, I guess that would be good. I've heard good things.
Yeah. And I will say again, talking about the directors, I've seen several Cuarón films, and he does make that seems to be impressive with his. Okay, so here is where we're going to have a fun category: music original song. They should have picked the song from Fireworks, but anyway. But one that bring it on up. One that I definitely do think deserves to be a contender. I have seen the film and I have heard the song.
Yeah.
Mark Spears, Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, and Anthony Tiffith for music. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, Anthony Tiffith, and Solana Rowe for the lyrics for All the Stars from Black Panther.
Well.
Yep.
And it was a good song from what I remember.
It was a great soundtrack overall.
Yeah, I need to listen to them all again. And most of these are available on YouTube, the songs. You can listen to them pretty easily. This is probably one of the easiest categories to get prepared for.
And also, not to mention that if you're willing to spring for the soundtracks, I have listened to the full Black Panther
It's got a great
soundtrack, like the official release soundtrack, and it's a worthy addition to the music collection. This movie I've seen.
Music and lyrics by Diane Warren. I'll Fight from RBG. And surprise, surprise, I finished watching that today.
Oh.
You know why I finished watching it today? Because it's on Hulu. Yes, and it is an excellent Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary, and the song is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And since it is very fresh in my mind, I do remember it quite well.
I cannot say that I remember the song as well as All the Stars, but I do remember it being a good one, and Diane Warren is a perennial Oscar favorite, and I don't think she's ever won. So this may be her year. The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns. Music and lyric by Mark Shaman. Lyric also by Scott Whitman. One thing that people remember Mary Poppins for, definitely the music is high on the list. So I'll be curious to see if the song really lives up to that legacy, but
Alright, then music and lyrics by Lady Gaga, Mark Ronson, Anthony Rossamato, and Andrew Wyatt.
Bet you don't know what this
for
is.
Shallow from A Star Is Born. And so, again, I need to see it. I will be getting the movie in soon, and I probably will listen to the song because everybody that's heard it has said that this is the one that they feel is going to win.
I have not seen the film, but I have played the video of the song, and it's a good song. I like it. I'm not sure that I would necessarily rave about it on that one listen.
This is the one that I think that you should have gotten to.
This is the one that I wanted to talk about, yes. When music and lyric by David Rawlings and Gillian Welch. When a cowboy trades his spurs for wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Again, one of the surprise nominees of the year. I have to say, I like Gillian Welch and David Rawlings. I've actually seen them in concert. They do real old-fashioned, old-timey, but Welch is a songwriter of great skill. And they worked together with the Coens for Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Welch performed a couple of the tracks. And so I'm not surprised to see them working with the Coens again. But I think it's great to see a Coen Brothers film get a song nod finally.
Well,
because
a lot of the stuff was borrowed music.
Well, yes, and the Coens are one of the biggest reasons why I argue for use of music in film, because it's rare they do original music.
Well, them and Woody Allen.
Yeah, the one other original song contender I can think of that they've had was the song from Inside Llewyn Davis, Please Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that win because I wanted to see Joel and Ethan Coen nominated alongside Justin Timberlake. I thought it would be hilarious. But this one, yeah.
I don't even have to open these because
there's only
one name with these.
But yeah, it's going to get easier as we go higher up the list.
So original score.
Yeah.
Black Panther with Ludwig Göransson.
Ludwig Göransson, yes.
Which, again,
He did
excellent
a
soundtrack,
great job.
so it was really well done.
And I was thrilled when I found out that you hear like the sort of tribal sounding vocals over a lot of it. A lot of those vocals were by Baba Maul, and I'm a big fan of his. So I love that Göransson got him on the soundtrack. So next up we got by Terrence Blanchard, we have Black Klansman.
Well, again, good soundtrack.
Yep.
Nicholas Britell, for If Beale Street Could Talk. I've heard lots of good things about the soundtrack for this.
I have not heard much, but I have to say, and you can back me up on this, I've been to Beale Street, and Beale Street is music. If this movie did not have a kick-ass soundtrack, it wouldn't live up to the title.
Yeah, it needs that for the name.
Yeah, I mean, Beale Street, you go to Beale Street anytime, any day, you're going to hear some awesome music. That's so anyway, I am very excited to see Alexandre Desplat. Isle of Dogs was not as awesome as I hoped it would be, but it did have some pretty great music.
This is Isle of Dogs' first mention of ours.
Yes.
And, of course, I own it, and you, too, can own it, because it has been out for a while now.
Yes.
So you might even be able to get some good discounts on it. And it is up for streaming in several locations.
Yeah.
So get on that one.
I do not own it. I'm waiting for the Criterion release.
The inevitable.
Yes, because it's Wes Anderson.
All right. Mark Scheinman for Mary Poppins Returns.
Now, as always, I should say, there are always some phenomenal scores that get reamed every single year, but what are you going to do?
And we can talk about some of that in the snubs.
Speaking of getting reamed, I still don't...
3?
Why is it in the Oscar bylaws that makeup and hairstyling only gets 3? What did they do to piss off the Academy? I don't know. And then, of course, you get a nomination here from a film that I've never heard of.
Neither have I.
But you got Goran Lundström and Pamela Goldamer. I think this is a Swedish film,
and it's in limited release,
and it's
currently.
called Border.
So not only will you need to see it in theaters, you will need to track down a theater that's actually showing it.
And it's Swedish, so enjoy some subtitles.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck seeing this before the Oscars. This is one I did regret not seeing, which is Jenny Shirkor, Mark Pilcher, and Jessica Brooks for Mary Queen of Scots. I really did want to see this film. And period pieces, you gotta love them when it comes to makeup and hairstyling, and costume design usually as well. So I'm surprised that other movie didn't get it. Was it Favorite? I'm surprised that one hasn't gotten it. But again, I've heard. Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't. But I did put a hold on it today from the library, and I actually got in early. I may actually get it in time for the show.
And the one I expect to win, actually, coming up next.
Yes. So, actually, I have heard this film called This Year's Darkest Hour. We have Greg Canham, Kate Biscoe, and Patricia Dehaney for Vice. Where, again, the idea of the politician being portrayed by someone in a fat suit. But yes.
Inspired by Satan himself, apparently.
But I will say, from the images I've seen, they did a good job making the Christian Bale look like Cheney. Yeah.
So now we're into foreign films, and I think what we'll do is just do the country
French
of
films
origin.
pretentious foreign.
Let's just read the country of origin, because really that's who is winning this.
Which is stupid. Okay, I could go on an hour's
Don't hurt
rant.
their ears with the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Actually, the only one that we don't have in full. Go ahead and bring that up.
Besides, they're not
Bring
listing every. It's a joint, because this is just one person as opposed to.
Well, they list
whole
the director, and the director is important with every single one of these.
We should also list the lead actors and actresses if we're going to do that, and the writers and the score people.
Yes.
And
Okay. So, but anyway, yeah. Well, you introduced the foreign language film, so go for it.
So the first one from Lebanon, and I'll let you tackle the names if you really insist on reading them.
Nadine Labaki.
Capernaum.
Yeah.
Again, not seen it.
Yeah.
Good luck finding it. And I am looking, because I did try to track down as many of these as possible.
Right.
And yeah, it's still in theaters, limited release.
Right. This is one of the beefs that I have with foreign language film, and I will go, and again, Quaron had a very good point when he said that most people don't get to see the foreign films, but that is not something that is fixed by Netflix buying them up and making sure that you can only watch them by streaming. That is fixed by the distributors actually getting them in time for the Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
And also... But one of the reasons why I hate the way they do this category is, one, the submissions period does not sync up to the calendar year that the rest of them do, which makes no sense. Two, they are submitted directly by the countries, who whittle it down to one submission before the Oscars get involved. So a lot of films get left on the chopping block without even getting an Oscar submission. Three, they give it to the country. I do think it should be the producers of the film, the way Best Picture is. And four, because of that weird window, and because it's only when it's released at home, they don't have to be released here until, technically, they don't have to be released before the Oscars. And sometimes they're not.
Guaranteeing you can't see it.
Exactly.
But
and it's all stupid.
I don't think that really and truly, in this day and age, there is no need for a foreign language film. I think we've been beyond that.
No.
I mean, I think that these people, I really think that we should start trying to get a lot of these films in wide release.
Right.
And allowing people to see it and submit it as per the norm.
Right.
I mean, one of these has multiples, and we have seen it before.
Two of these have multiples. Actually, it's kind of weird that way.
So it's not like it's impossible.
Right. Well, again, it has to do with release schedule. A film cannot be nominated in the other categories if it hasn't been released in the U.S.
Well, that's the other thing is that, you get rid of this category, then they all have to play by the same rules.
Well, you don't have to get rid of the category. It's kind of like animated feature. I like the idea of additional awards.
It's the problem is it's not always about that. It's sometimes about pigeonholing them.
Yeah, they probably get pigeonholed. But again, they do need to, at the very least, they have to dictate an American release schedule that is the same as everybody else.
Okay.
But anyway, so the next one up is one of the few multiple nominees this year. It's a Polish submission from Paweł Palikowski, who got multiple nods a couple of years ago for Ida. And this is the film Cold War, which got tons of praise. And
And it is on Amazon Prime.
Ah, very good. Because it got released earlier.
Mm-hmm. So, next up, Never Look Away, Germany. And I will let you go so you can read your stuff there.
Florian Henkel von Donnersmarck, which I know I've seen something by that director, but I'm drawing a blank.
And let me see here. Never Look Away is... go figure. It's in limited release and
Probably,
is not able to be seen. All right.
Next up, from Mexico, Alfonso Cuarón's Roma.
I couldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. And then the next one I'm actually excited about.
From Japan, which is why you're excited about
No.
it.
Let me, you can finish.
Okay, Hirokazu Koreeda.
Yes.
For Shoplifters.
I'm excited because Hirokazu Koreeda is freaking awesome. He is a horribly underrated director in this country. I've seen 3.
You remain one.
What's that?
You'll remain one because they will snub it.
Well, he has his film Still Walking is one of the only 2 post-2000 Japanese films Criterion has released.
But speaking of, it is unavailable and in limited release.
God dang it. But yeah, his last 2 films, I've seen both of them, and both of them got totally overlooked by Oscar. So I am thrilled that he's in here. This, I think, is the first nominee from him. But again, he's not nominated. Japan is nominated. That's stupid. Koreeda should be an Oscar nominee.
Well, yeah, but for Best Director.
No, he can be. He might be a producer. I don't know. I don't know who the producer
or Best Picture.
Yeah. Well, Shoplifters is supposed to be good. So next up we have film editing. And the first one up is Barry Alexander Brown for Black Klansman.
All right. And then John Ottman for Bohemian Rhapsody.
And then
I'm glad I didn't get this name.
Lovely. Okay. Adele Dazeem. No. Okay, so Yorgos Mavropsaridis for The Favorite.
Yeah, better you than me. You're better at these things than I am. Patrick J. Don Vito. Danny DeVito.
Yes, exactly.
For Green Book.
And Hank Corwin for Vice.
All right.
Yep.
And documentary.
Too bad we didn't get
subject.
to see what's his face, Roderick James in that category.
So
documentary short.
We'll actually get to start with one I have seen.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I've seen 2 films with that title.
And there's plenty of films with this title. Black Sheep by Ed Perkins and Jonathan Chin.
Okay.
This one was on Netflix. Not Netflix. This one was on YouTube shortly.
Okay.
And it was really good. It was about an individual's journey to the UK and his way of adapting to racism in the UK. There's a lot of this sort of theme going through. And it really is an excellent narrative. I think that the sound is a little bit rough because it's really loud in places and really soft in others. So you're doing that thing where you turn it way up to hear what they're saying, and then suddenly, my ears, which is
the audience is now deaf.
Yeah, but still, really good film, really good message.
Good deal. So next up we have Rob Epstein and Jeffrey Friedman for Endgame.
All right. And, darn it. And
what happened?
And it messed up briefly. And, well, I have seen the one that I am...
Really?
Yes, I have. And... again, actually, I saw that one yesterday, matter of fact, so it might still be on YouTube.
Okay,
so get
I'll
to
have
checking
to
it
keep that
out.
up. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I have seen 3 in this category, to tell you the truth.
You've seen more than I have.
Sky Fitzgerald and Brian Musser and Lifeboat. And this one is about Libya and the trash fire it has become. And the things that happen when you have a bunch of people who are being brought in as slaves and are trying to escape by any means necessary. It kind of puts a face on that. And it's not a very pretty face, as you can see.
That was mean. Okay, next up, speaking of not a very pretty face.
Oh, God, no.
We got Marshall Curry with A Night at the Garden.
Are you familiar with this?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, this is an interesting synopsis. This is the third one I've seen, by the way. This one is very entertaining, but very scary at the same time. In 1939, there was a Nazi rally. And where was it? Madison Square Garden. By German-born Americans. They were singing the national anthem. They were doing the Pledge of Allegiance. You'd think they would have added Under God in there, but it was before that time when they added it. They had pictures of George Washington with swastikas. It was a creepy presentation. Something that the guy managed to dig up the old footage. This one, they have wiped the entirety of it, but there are small clips of it on YouTube now. But it is disturbing. Right. And then finally, one that they got off of YouTube before I could get to it, which is Raika Zetabichi and
Zetabji
and Melissa Burton for Period End of a Sentence.
End of Sentence.
And it's I have seen some other short films by these people, which are pretty good, but I have yet to see this one, and apparently I'm not going to, unless Prime is adding this to their short film little thing that they're doing.
Okay.
Right.
Next up, documentary feature, and
is that any relation to the movie that came out, the Star Wars story?
Yes, it is. No. And this is a category, probably more than any other, that had some what in the hell reactions to it. There were 4 films that I thought were a lock.
And we'll talk about any snubs later on.
We'll talk about the snubs later on, but this category had what I considered probably 2 most shocking snubs of them all.
Oh my God. No.
But this one was one of the ones that was a lock, and it may be the one to beat. Elizabeth Chai Vasarhelyi, Jimmy Chin, Evan Hayes, and Shannon Dill for Free Solo, which is apparently a film about rock climbing, and it's supposedly a really fun, interesting film. I haven't seen it yet.
And you're probably not. It's in limited release, and difficult to see unless you watch it in theaters.
Oh, boy.
All right, another one. But this one is coming to PBS February 11th. And that is Ramel Ross, Jocelyn Barnes, and Sue Kim in Hale County this evening. It is about life in the rural South. I've seen some previews of it, and it looks interesting.
Now, I will say props for the greater representation of Asians this year, but more on that later, too. Here's another one. This is another one that I've heard about. I don't know much about it other than apparently it has something to do with skateboarders. But I have heard a lot about this, and I'm not surprised it got in. Bing Liu and Diane Kwan did a film called Minding the Gap.
Actually, this is one of the 2 I have seen in this category. It is on Hulu. See, aren't you glad I've gone through and researched this?
I haven't had time to go through and watch what's online.
I haven't watched it all, but I've been... Hey, you had a heck of a watch schedule last week.
Well, yeah, but that was before I knew what I needed to watch.
But this one is about the skateboarding lifestyle, these type of people when they're young. And I used to hang out with a bunch of skateboard punks when I was younger, and I know that it's what they do. They listen to punk music. They're kind of there, and I've known people like this. They're in Rockford, and it's basically you get to see these people as they grow and mature. Some doing well, some crashing and burning. It is pretty well done. It's got some stories that brought a little bit of a tear to my eye at the end, and that is, to me, it was well done. Though not the one that I would be picking for my interest in wanting to win this year. Oh, I was talking about it, but I actually didn't introduce that one. Let's see here. So, Talal Durkee, Askar Frederick, Evan Kim, and Tobias N. Sieber for A Fathers and Sons.
Which actually, from the synopsis of the previous one, you would think that could be called this.
Actually, you're with the library system. Are you familiar with the streaming service Canopy?
Not really. I know of it.
People who are in participating libraries for it, apparently this is streaming for free there.
Huh.
Just out of thoughts. I mean, I don't know anything about it, but because I'm not in a participating library, but I was curious.
Okay, now this one I did get through the library. I just checked out a copy, but the final one, Betsy West and Julie Cohen's film RBG, which was another one that I had thought was a shoo-in for this category, and, well, again, it ended up a double nominee, which is a rarity for a documentary.
And it is a good documentary.
It is.
I mean, just getting to watch it today was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, trying to desperately, even if piecemeal, watch these darn things before the Oscars.
Right. Oh, you got a major category here.
Yes, a major category, directing.
Yeah.
So, we're starting off with one that is probably his first nomination as director, which is Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman. I didn't think he was ever going to get one. I was surprised. Even though I was expecting it, I still was surprised. I felt like he was going to be snubbed just because. But I guess they finally were listening to the people, at least partially.
Right.
It's kind of weird how they're working hard to please one, but yet still showing their racism in other ways. But they're trying, and I give Oscars that it was an excellent movie, probably one of the best I've seen from Spike Lee. I feel like Jordan Peele is partly responsible for that.
Yeah.
But still, wonderful film.
Yep. And now we have one of the more surprising nominations of the year. It's unusual to see two nominees in the foreign language film category duking it out in the director category, but that is exactly what we have going on here. Paweł Pawlikowski is up for Cold War. So, very cool.
And then Yorgos Lanthimos, which we've talked about over and over again, apparently, for The Favorite.
I think this is his first nomination.
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't think
no. He got a nomination for screenwriting for The Lobster. But I think this is his first time for a director. And then Alfonso Cuarón, I think, has been up before for director, but he is back for Roma. And he's probably the odds-on favorite to win this year.
I think it'll be between Spike Lee and Cuarón, really.
It really is. It's a two-person race, but it's Cuarón's to lose. If they give it to Lee, it probably will be because they just figure he's overdue.
Way overdue.
Yeah.
I mean, Cuarón, at least he's getting... Well, they're both kind of getting their firsties. But
well, no, he's been up before.
Okay,
I think he was. I want to say he was nominated for Gravity, and I think that may be the only previous one.
Okay, Gravity won big, so I guess that would be. But then, of course, last but not least, Adam McKay for Vice.
Yep, a lot of people thought there was a big snub in this category too, but we'll come back to that.
All right.
Costume design.
Even bigger than director.
I get to nominate, yet another one. Mary Zophres, the long-time collaborator with the brothers Coen, is nominated for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And, from what I've seen, it looks like it's got some pretty fun costumes.
And one I mentioned earlier, Ruth Carter for Black Panther.
That fully deserves it.
Really good costumes in there. And this this one had a major snub in this category. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
Deadpool 2. Not serious.
Oh, gosh.
But anyway, Sandy Powell, a favorite of this category, is up for the favorite.
It's going to win something this
Oh,
year.
and
It's up
see,
to
she
win.
is.
Yeah, Mary Powell for Mary Poppins Returns.
Sandy Powell is a double
Sandy Powell.
nominee this year.
And then finally,
And then finally, Alexandra Byrne for Mary, Queen of Scots. That film ended up with hardly anything, but it did get the production costume duo, so it'll probably get the costume award.
oh, I guess they consider animated film like a major thing because they got
I
the
do.
pictures all big.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So,
But-
cinematography.
yeah.
We got to eat our vegetables before we get to the dessert.
right.
So cinematography. We start with Lucas Zoll for Cold War.
Which, I don't know if he's the same person, but I mentioned before the director's the same as the one who did Ida. And Ida was also a double nominee with a cinematography as a nod. So that I need to see both of those films. You have Ida. Did I ever...
Yeah. I don't
Did
think
you
I've
ever
seen
see
it.
it?
No, I haven't seen it.
We need to see that. So next up, Robbie Ryan, once again, the favorite.
God. Caleb Deschanel for Never Look Away. They're gonna make me watch the favorite later
Yeah.
on, I guess. when it comes
Alfonso
out.
Cuarón for Roma.
I'm definitely gonna be watching that.
Yeah,
And Matthew
Libatique.
Libatique for A Star Is Born.
He's been up in this a few times. Ooh, I get my favorite category. This is the most awesome bit of awesomeness of all the news that came out. Animated feature film. Well, Incredibles 2.
And we both watched that one in theaters, and it was what we expected. Pixar made a good film, and it got the nomination, and it is the favorite to win.
Of course.
But the Golden Globe showed us that there is another path, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But we also have... Actually, where are the producers of this that we're supposed to
there we
read?
go.
There you go. Could actually read that because it's really small.
Especially because Brad Bird, this is his baby. This was his film. Brad Bird, John Walker, and Nicole Paradis Grindle.
All right.
Yeah.
So the next one up for animated feature is Wes Anderson, Scott Rudin, Stephen Rolls, and Jeremy Dodson.
For...
Oh, no. You just need the names. And that's Isle of Dogs, of course.
Yes.
It's Wes Anderson.
Yes, it's like...
What other movie? What other animated movie did you put out this year?
Now, I will have to say, there's one in this category I have not yet seen, and
There's
of
two
the
in this one I've not
ones
seen.
of the ones I've seen, Isle of Dogs is the weak one. It's good, but it's not. Even by Anderson's standards,
Actually,
it's a bit weak.
every single one of these was expected. After the Globes, I was expecting this.
Now, first, I have to take a moment to do a shameless plug for next week's video. We're going to do the top 15 people who are criminally overdue for an Oscar nomination. And when I was getting ready, doing my initial run-through, I quickly jotted out a page full of people who have been overlooked. 2 of them picked up nominations yesterday, and one of them is in this category, and I am so thrilled for Mamoru Hosoda. Mamoru Hosoda and Yuichiro Saito, the production partners behind Studio Chizu, are nominated for Mirai.
All right.
And this is awesome because, A, Mirai is awesome. Watch it. It is awesome. But it's also awesome because this is the first ever anime feature that is up for an Oscar that has no relation to Studio Ghibli.
I am glad to
That
see it
is-
finally
yes.
that we're getting this.
Finally.
Hopefully it's showing that it isn't just the Disney show, because Pixar
Yeah.
is Disney too. So
Yeah.
it's not just the Disney show.
Right.
Occasionally Disney gets dethroned, but it's 90% Disney. And that puts that thing as animated feature. That's the kids. That's the kids table. Go sit at the kids table.
Yeah, anime has snuck into the short feature category. Maybe every 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
it gets one in there. But for it to get a feature nod is overdue. Mirai should have been up in multiple categories, but I'll give it this one.
And if this one won,
Yeah.
which is a way outside chance. It's not
Way
gonna
outside
win.
chance.
But if it did win, it would be the only it'd be the first non-Disney anime to get up because
the only one that has won.
Spirit Away is
that
not
was the
Disney, but was not Disney at the time, but it is Disney now.
Spirited Away is the only anime feature that has won.
Yeah,
so speaking of Disney,
yes, and we have
the one that I have not seen.
Rich Moore, Phil Johnston, and Clark Spencer for Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Which I want to see that. I love Wreck-It Ralph.
I went to see it, and they had said, "Oh, sorry, we decided not to show that today because we needed to get an extra showing of Glass out." And I'm like,
really?
Yeah, they actually
what?
Yeah, they actually dropped. They had a 10:30 showing for it, and they dropped it so they could add an extra 10:30 for Glass.
What?
And I was like, though I'm interested in Glass, I wanted to hear what was going on with it. And from what I've heard about Glass, it's one I need to wait on.
People aren't that crazy about it.
But then again, Shyamalan is hit or miss. Yes. And the other really good one.
Yes. Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, Rodney Rothman, Phil Lord, and Christopher, what's his name?
Christopher what's his name's very good. I loved everything Christopher what's his name was in.
Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. I should have been able to remember that because they were the team behind the Lego Movie. They shocked everyone pretty much with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which actually won the Golden Globe in this category. Incidentally, Mirai was the first ever anime nominated in that category. Wind Rises had gotten a foreign language nod.
Like I said, it's kind of cool to see an outsider to be the one to challenge Incredibles 2 and a comic book movie to boot.
Spider-Man is Sony, so it's not really an outside, but is in terms
being
of
a comic book film, though, it is an outsider.
In terms of being an animated film, though, it kind of is,
because traditionally the Academy Awards hate comic books. And I'll be surprised. Actually, I would not be surprised if on their honorable mentions for the deaths that they're like, no, we're leaving Stan Lee out.
They better have Stan Lee and Steve Ditko.
I think they'll put him in there.
They gotta have him.
But if they left him out, it would not surprise me because they hate comic books.
No, it would shock me if they left Stan Lee out. It would not surprise me if Steve Ditko gets left off, but whatever. But anyway, especially because Into the Spider-Verse, they went all out to create the feel of a comic movie.
Oh, it was wonderful.
They did a really good job.
And they had a minority central character.
Right.
And that's
Miles Morales is a very fun character, and I love this version of Gwen Stacy. She's one of my favorites. I love the comics, so that was really cool.
Then hopefully Miss Marvel will get that one too when they come up for another movie.
So now we're getting into the meat of the ones that everyone wants to see.
Actress in a supporting role.
Yes,
you got the animated feature.
Yes.
So. Amy Adams for Vice.
Yep. She is overdue to win an Oscar. I doubt she'll do it this year. She wins tons of nominations. This was one of the biggest shocks for a lot of people. Not having seen Roma, I don't think I'd ever even heard of this person. But Marina de Tavira is nominated for Roma.
Regina King, If Beale Street Could Talk.
I think she seems to be the favorite in this category so far.
Yes.
And speaking of the favorite, that film is being split.
Two.
Yes. Two of my favorite actresses are vying for Oscar's attention just the way they vie for Olivia Colman's attention in the movie, apparently. Emma Stone will be nominated.
Oh, go ahead for the other ones.
And Rachel Weisz.
You can read the title, and I will get the first one for that.
Best actor in a supporting role.
So we're starting off with Mahershala.
Are you sure you want to read that one?
Mahershala Ali, which is for Green Book. Yay! I haven't seen.
Oh man. Adam Driver for Black Klansman. He did do a good job.
He did a great job with that.
Okay.
All right. Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born. Makes
And
me want to see it more.
That list that I mentioned, Sam Elliott was the other one. If you can somehow believe this, this is his first ever Oscar nomination.
They were looking off of your list.
That is criminal that he's never had a nod, but now he has one.
So I really
Yes.
wanted him to be. I really wanted him to be in the Dark Tower film. I wanted him to play one of the big coffin hunters.
Oh, that would have been great. Did they even do anything with the Coffin Hunters? I forget.
I never saw the movie.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they did. Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Actually, is that one that I don't think we've covered that one yet.
Well, yeah, we did, briefly.
Was that in... What did that get nominated for?
It's like the Screenplay Award.
Okay, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's in theaters, not available to see.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, Sam Rockwell for Vice.
Yes, he apparently plays W in the film.
Now the big game.
The big game.
Actress in a leading role.
Yes.
Why did I get... Okay. Yalitza Aparicio for Roma.
Yes. This was another one that pleasantly surprised a lot of people. And I need to see this. The lady who won the Golden Globe, and I cannot believe we forgot to talk about this film in our list of upcoming releases. This comes out on video next Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
This is Glenn Close is nominated for The Wife.
And, you've mentioned how to get a hold of it.
Yes.
If you want to buy it, you can get a hold of it.
Yep.
There is no free streaming option, unfortunately. That might keep me from seeing it, because it's like $20 to stream it and $19 to $24 to buy it. And I'm like, Olivia Colman for The Favorite.
Yep.
I'm going to have to see this movie, apparently.
I will too, yes. And then Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born.
And finally, Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Is that a first for her?
No, she's been up for supporting actress. This is her first
leading.
Yeah,
actress.
this is her first leading role,
Okay.
and it's definitely a different looking role.
I'm sure people were very upset that she didn't get it for Ghostbusters, that she was robbed because of that.
Now, one note about this category, Lady Gaga is considered a lock to win original song. She's kind of an outlier here because Glenn Close, Olivia Colman. I think it's probably between Close and Colman, unless Roma gets a complete sweep of the awards, which could happen. But if Gaga wins, I believe I read somewhere that she might be the first person to ever win original song and Best Actress in the same year. It's certainly a rarity that you get someone in both of those categories.
Yeah, wait till our prediction vlogcast. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be doing what I did last time. It's just it's a little bit early to do the research into it. I gotta give it at least a week for these people to make accurate predictions.
So, actor in a leading role.
Woo!
Christian Bale for playing, in Vice. I was so tempted to go with his Satan comment there.
No, he's not playing Satan. He was only inspired by Satan.
He was inspired by him, yes.
And he's one of those that could be a favorite. But
yeah.
Then there is Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born.
Yep. He is probably one of the strong ones, too. But this was the one that came out of flippin' nowhere. I had never heard of this movie before this happened. Willem Dafoe got his fourth ever nomination. Just like last year, he is the sole contender for the film that he's in. And it's a film called At Eternity's Gate, where he plays Vincent van Gogh.
That sounds kind of cool. And it is in theaters, and I don't think it's even on wide release. So good luck again in seeing this. And one of the other favorites to possibly win, and one that I wasn't as surprised as the film winning, which is Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. because I've heard nothing but praise for that. I really feel
Right.
like it's going to be a Christian Bale versus Rami Malek.
I think there's a good chance of that. Very good chance.
And maybe the last one.
Now, there could be a sympathy nod for Bradley Cooper, though, because, again, when we get to the snubs, but Viggo Mortensen for Green Book, he's the odd one out. Him and Defoe are happy to be there this year. But
Ooh, I get to lead the big one,
yeah.
which is Best Picture.
Yes.
We start off with something that many people, when they heard this,
Woo!
cheered.
Woohoo!
And that was Black Panther.
Yes.
Now, it is interesting that... Well, we'll talk about that in the snubs. But it is interesting there that it did get the nomination. And I'm glad, but it's not a surprise for me that it got the nomination.
First comic book
Yes.
superhero movie ever nominated for Best Picture.
Even Dark Knight didn't get a Best Picture.
Yes, and there was such an outcry about that. And that's one of the... I think that is a big part of why Black Panther did as well as it did. And then Black Klansman.
Actually, is that a first for Spike Lee?
We should probably be naming off the producers here.
Oh, yeah, the producers.
Yeah.
Kevin Will
Feige.
Ferrell and...
Kevin Feige for Black Panther, Sean McKittrick, Jason Blum, Raymond Mansfield, Jordan Peele, and Spike Lee. So that's one of the reasons why we've been talking about Peele and Lee, but this was also a Blumhouse production. So that's a very interesting bit of people.
So also up for Best Picture is Graham King for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Which would be interesting. This one could pull off a surprise win. I still don't feel it's going to win.
It's
but,
not likely.
It could pull off a surprise. It certainly did surprise me when it won the Globe.
It surprised everyone. And it's not going to win this time. Ceci Dempsey, Ed Gwynny, Lee Magaday, and Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite.
I don't think this one will win.
Yeah.
Now, this one could win.
Not likely.
Which is Jim Burke, Charles B. Wessler, Brian Currie, Peter Farrelly, and Nick Nolte, Nick Vallelonga.
Vallelonga.
For Green Book. Green Book had gotten a lot of love.
Yeah,
at the
but look
Golden
what
Globes.
it's up against.
And it's got a heck of
Look what it's up against.
Yeah.
So next up, Gabriela Rodriguez and Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
And then Bill Gerber, Bradley Cooper, and Leanne Howell-Taylor for A Star Is Born.
And finally, Dee Gardner, Jeremy Kleiner, Adam McKay, and Kevin Messick for Vice.
You know, I was not surprised for some of these nominations, though Roma is amazingly popular.
I am not surprised particularly at any of these that made the list, although I'm a little surprised on Black Panther. But I am deeply, 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 deeply dismayed and ticked that there's only 8 nominees. There should have been 10. Because there should have been 10.
They could have had. I think if they had 10, then they probably could have. They could have included the Avengers.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to snubs before we.
Well, that's the. I figure that's a good lead off.
Okay then.
Which because to me that's not the biggest snub in my opinion. It's not the one that's got me up in arms the most. There are 2 that have me up in arms.
What's
that? One of which I know you very much agree with. Actually, you probably agree with me with both. But one is a racial thing. They have gone out of their way to show that they're not racist, but they have decided that one particular race is not as worthy, and that would be for Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes, Crazy Rich Asians was completely left out in the cold.
I mean, costume design at the very least.
And production design.
It was beautiful. It was one of the more beautiful films I saw this year.
And again, I say they need to have best use of music in film. They don't. But another person who is criminally overlooked, perennially overlooked, who should have had an Oscar nomination this year was Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of people were pulling for her to get it. Crazy Rich Asians, my theory is that most of the voters were like, okay, we want to be racially sensitive, and we want to be sensitive to all these people that want us to actually nominate a popular film, but I can only do one. Black Panther. I think that's what it was. I think it came down to Black Panther or Crazy Rich Asians. And now again, notice Hirokazu Koreeda has a film nominated. Mamoru Hosoda has a film nominated. Yeah. They are masters of Japanese cinema. And we saw tons of Asian names in the below-the-line categories. So this year, I'm only so annoyed on this. But Crazy Rich Asians should have gotten something.
Yeah.
Something. And that was a big snub.
Well, I had one more that really just made me...
You know what really grinds my gears?
Exactly. But it's... and that is in the documentary category.
Yes.
With Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yes.
I don't understand. What is there like a rule that it didn't qualify for?
Well, there were two. And I said that. I said there were 4 going in I thought were locks. Won't You Be My Neighbor was not only the most shocking snub for me, but it was offensive to me personally. Well, in a sense it was, because I grew up with Mr. Rogers. But not only that, but 3 Identical Strangers, both of those were very, very, very popular documentaries that did really well at the box office. They had phenomenal reviews. They were both considered front runners in the category, and they not only got left out, they got nothing. And I was shocked.
That one just it just left me feeling sad, because Won't You Be My Neighbor, I thought would have an excellent chance of winning Best Documentary. Though I loved RBG, I thought that the other one actually brought tears to my eyes.
Right.
It was such a darn good film.
It did.
And they left it out.
Yeah.
Is there some technical thing that they didn't have? Did they not meet something?
I'm pretty sure, because I saw the short list of the documentaries they were considering, and I'm pretty sure both of those films were on the short list. So I don't know what it was. I really don't know. But the way they did the short list this year may have had an effect on what ended up getting nominated, because they published the short list so early and they decided on them so early. That might have had something to do with it. Now, as far as the other ones that I couldn't believe were not for Best Picture, I'll be honest, there were very few that I really, really, really was shocked that they left out of Best Picture. But Mary Queen of Scots, I thought, had more traction than it apparently did. And the work...
Aquaman.
No. But me personally, I think Avengers Infinity War should have been on there. If they had only 2 spots to give, I could give one of them to Crazy Rich Asians. But honestly, if it were me personally, they should have given those slots to Avengers Infinity War and either Incredibles 2, Mirai, or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. All 3 of those were phenomenal films, and I don't give a damn if they're just animated. They were 3 of the best films of the year. They should have been in there.
Though I disagree with Incredibles 2 being one of the best, I do... I don't know. The Incredibles 1 was great, but I felt again. But that's just my. I've got my own gripes. I'm going to hold that.
Well, from what I've heard of these, I've seen Black Panther and Black Klansman.
I mean, they're all really good from what I've heard.
From what I've heard, Incredibles 2 could easily trump that one.
But
and probably that one.
You know,
and maybe that one.
I mean, I can tell you what happened with it, at least with Infinity War. And that is...
It's the Academy hates comics.
Well, we've got to put one up there. Yeah. And we've got a choice between Infinity War or Black Panther. I think we should cater to the people who would be rioting if we didn't nominate Black Panther. So... let's do that one up. Like they have to only put one.
And not just that. Let's not forget that we also had Ant-Man this year. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I can't say that.
Oh, I loved it.
I've never seen it, but at the same time, I can't. I've heard
but
it did get
gypped in not getting anything. Okay, now let's refresh
I mean,
some
one
of
could
the...
even say Aquaman if you're
Okay.
talking about technical.
Now,
awards.
as far as some of the other potential snubs, one of the ones I'm trying to remember. One we talked briefly about First Reformed. A lot of people thought Ethan Hawke would sneak in there, and who was the one though that everyone thought Willem Dafoe took his spot? It might have been Ethan Hawke, but no, I feel like there was someone else.
Will Ferrell.
Oh, John David Washington was another one that a lot of people thought could have gotten in there. He did a great job in Black Klansman. He really did.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't get that.
Yeah.
Gosh, there was one, but there was in supporting actor.
Yeah, well, let's move on down
Yeah.
then. And I feel like there might have been one for actress, but we'll come back to it.
Supporting actor, there was one from Black Panther.
Yeah.
God, what?
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan should have gotten that. Should have gotten a nomination. He did an excellent job portraying the character.
A lot of people thought Sam Rockwell just kind of stole that spot. But what was the one that people really thought? But I agree, Michael B. Jordan did a great job. He is overdue for some Oscar consideration. And it would have been a nice thing to throw a little more love to the comics.
He could finally have fully redeemed himself for Fan Forstick.
Yeah. But the weird irony is Sam Rockwell was criminally overdue until last year when he finally won on his first time at bat. Supporting actress, like I said, Marina Tavira shocked a lot of people, but that came at the
I gotta look
leaving
up
some people out.
There was one that I can think of, but I gotta remember her name.
But while we're talking about snubs, while he's doing that, I'll think of a couple others off the top of my head. I do think that it would have been awesome if Night of Short Walk On Girl had snuck in there for animated feature. What's up?
Aquafina should have gotten a nod for a supporting actress role for Crazy Rich
You think
Asians.
so?
She didn't. Pete Glenn was an excellent character.
Well, she is.
She was wonderfully portrayed.
Yeah.
I think that was...
And I loved Constance Wu as the main...
Well, I think she should have been Best Actress nomination.
And also, as far as my limited viewing for the year, Constance Wu was on my list, but another one that no one talked about, that was one of the ones a lot of people said was a snub, was Claire Foy for First Man. But I saw her in Unsane. She was great.
Well, she could have gotten it for Unsane.
But she didn't.
2018.
Yeah. But she didn't. But I do need to see First Man, and that does mention one of the other big snubs. Justin Hurwitz just won a Golden Globe for scoring that movie, and he did not get a nod for the score.
Yeah.
It's not the first time that's happened. Alexandre Desplat won a Golden Globe for The Painted Veil and did not get an Oscar nod. It's interesting how that doesn't sync up very well between the two. But I would have thought for sure First Man was a lock for that category. But
and with you said and what you said before, and Night Short Walk On Girl, I think could have been an addition to this. They weren't going to choose but one anime.
Not to mention that...
And I don't think it could have knocked off any one of these, including Mirai. As much as I liked Night of Short Walk On Girl, Mirai was well-rounded.
It was better than Isle of Dogs.
Well, but it's Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I know. But Isle of Dogs, it did deserve the music nod. And I love that it represented for animation and music. My personal opinion is that animation should dominate the music category most years.
Now, does this count with what? I mean, just as a curiosity, using this as an example for the list. On the top 15, since this is a Wes Anderson film, I think Wes Anderson's already gotten nominations elsewhere.
He has.
But if he hadn't, would this count as a nomination for Wes Anderson?
If he had never before been nominated, yes. Okay. But he has been. Yeah, but Mamoru Hosoda had never been nominated, so that was one. And but yeah, producer nods do count as previous nominations. But anyway,
the Spider-Verse came out of nowhere.
Mirai also had a pair of really great theme songs. I know Theme for Mirai is original to the film, but I believe the other one is as well. And that one, Incredibles, particularly Incredibles, and Night is Short, Walk On Girl had pretty phenomenal soundtracks. The scores were pretty awesome. Move along down. Cinematography, I know I've seen a couple films this year that were visually very, very impressive. But since I have not seen these films, it's hard to say. Yeah. It is interesting that we have 2 black and white foreign films in this category.
And with costume design, again...
that was one thing I did want to say on cinematography. Last year, Rachel Morrison made history as the first camera person who is female to get an Oscar nomination. Ever. It was the last major category that had no female nominees, and she finally made it for Mudbound. And guess what? This year she was behind the camera for Black Panther. And look, it's one of the few categories Black Panther is not nominated for. Shame on the cinematography branch. You really need to open up more. But a
costume design, as I said before, Crazy Rich Asians was robbed for that, because the costume design and many of these gowns and stuff were originally made for the film.
But let's look at what is nominated, I will admit. But we're talking about a film about super, super crazy rich people and their mostly custom clothing.
Yeah.
You do have to go above and beyond on the costume design there, and the production. Again,
it was amazing.
The sets, the everything. Actually, cinematography, that movie was strong in that category too. Yeah. And it had a pretty good score. Yeah, pretty good score.
I got to do research on who
directing.
Is that.
Okay, directing. I am a big fan of the idea that the Infinity War was such a monumental feat of filmmaking. You gotta give the Russo brothers credit for that. And also Ryan Coogler for Black Panther. He is MIA here. But arguably the biggest snub that a lot of people thought was the biggest snub, Bradley Cooper is not up for A Star Is Born.
That was left off.
Now, the Academy is famously reticent about nominating first-time directors.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that. Alfonso Cuarón's been nominated before in this category. Spike Lee is criminally overdue in this category. I think everyone agreed on that. Lanthimos and Polakowski and McKay had all been nominated before. McKay, I think, was nominated in this category for The Big Short. So they're all veterans in a way. But really and honestly, Bradley Cooper... He's a very talented actor. He's apparently a talented singer. And he made a film that should not have been the big film to beat into one of the big films to beat. So it's kind of weird that he got left out in the cold. But still, I do think the Russo brothers or Coogler should have had one of these slots. Yeah.
Okay, so down here.
Documentary, we already did that. Let's go on and move to the... Unless you had more there.
No, I had my thing.
I would have loved to see Roderick James get the film editing nod just because he doesn't exist, but whatever.
I'm sure you know some foreign language films that you would like to have seen.
I have not seen many. The only ones I really saw, I think, were the anime. And again, I would have liked to see Mirai or Night is Short, Walk On Girl have a chance here.
Yeah, but they don't consider them foreign language films.
And again, big snub, perennial snub. Why are there only 3 makeup? Black Panther would have been a very good contender here. The Avengers: Infinity War would have been a very good contender here. What were the? I feel like there could have been some more too, but. Yeah, but again, that's going to be Vice's to lose. right?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing, original song.
Yeah.
Well, you said Fireworks. For
Yeah,
that song,
okay. Fireworks was a very disappointing film, but it had a wonderful original song that I absolutely loved. And I did love the themes from Mirai. I can't think of really any other original ones.
I mean, I guess the My Hero Academia one had an okay.
I haven't heard it.
But, again, that one just struck me as another shonen movie.
Right. And again here, production design, Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah. Yep. Sure, let's see. Sound editing. Again, I think A Quiet Place should have probably been up for both sound awards. It got the one it really needed, but I think it probably should have been up for both. Yeah. And then visual effects. Infinity War, my God, it deserved it. But and Ready Player One deserved it, and Solo, But I really think Ant-Man and the Wasp could have gotten a nod. And Aquaman. Both of them were very solid for the visual effects. Very solid.
They should have had Best Pecs.
Oh, God. Well, that goes under makeup and hairstyling, doesn't it?
There you go.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Adapted screenplay. Well, any one of the Marvel films could have gotten in there.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. Actually, yes, that was a major snub, because I have read some of the comics. That was very closely tied to the comics, and they did a really good job adapting
because
it.
one could definitely say, like, Infinity War, that is not... It's loosely based
adapted
on the comics.
They did do a decent job with it, but
they
loosely.
did a decent job, but definitely not very only like vaguely similar.
Now, as far as original screenplay, this was one of the biggest disappointing snubs to me. There were a few films that I thought should have gotten nods that didn't. We've already gone at length about Crazy Rich Asians and Won't You Be My Neighbor.
Yeah.
Three Identical Strangers, they really should. But there were two that I thought had a shot for original screenplay. And one of them was not a big snub to most people, but one of them a lot of people thought was. I have to admit, Sorry to Bother You was a long shot, but it would have been cool to see it in this category. Mm-hmm. But Bo Burnham's screenplay for 8th Grade was a huge snub. That should have been nominated. 8th Grade was a great film. It should have gotten something. And original screenplay was the one everyone expected. And it was one of the more surprising snubs, according to what I've been reading and hearing. But it was a great film. And Elsie Fisher could have been up for Best Actress. Although she's still so young and so new to the game that,
well,
could have.
We probably should be wrapping things up.
Yeah.
We're past the 2-hour mark after all.
If you're still watching or listening, we certainly appreciate it.
So what we'll probably do is in the vlogcasts upcoming, we'll start working. They're not going to be a lot of vlogcasts, but we're going to at least have one before the Oscars with our predictions.
Yep.
And hopefully, and of course, we'll have a vlogcast the week after the Oscars to talk about those winners.
And I will go ahead and say this. Once again, we do have an upcoming top 15 of people who are criminally overdue for an Oscar nomination. And then we're going to follow that up a couple weeks later with people who have been nominated in one category or another, but really, really ought to win. Not necessarily of this year's nominees, but they're. But we definitely want feedback. If you know someone, especially in the below the line categories, it's really easy to find lists on actors who have never been nominated, but it's really hard to find lists on people like cinematographers, production designers, costume designers. If you know one that you love, that you're like, oh man, every movie they touch is great, let us know. That would be worthwhile, definitely.
All right.
yeah.
Well, I guess then we are going to leave you with that. So
Yes.
we will see you on the next one.
All right.
Goodbye.